I've been asked a question before that caused me to think. Is religion directly responsible for the good or evil done in God's name? I'd have to say no. I'd say that religious interpretation is responsible for the good or evil done in the name of a god. And I think that many religious people would agree with me on that point. Having said that, religion does not exist outside of interpretation. And therein lies the problem. Who is to say whose interpretation is right and whose interpretation is wrong? There are no rules in the holy text that provide clearly defined sets of morals or values that should or should not be followed. You can use it to justify anything. Therefore, religion itself is the problem with religion, and not just the fundamentalist interpretation of it. In an attempt to illustrate the point that I'm trying to make, I'm going to use an analogy. I know analogy doesn't prove anything, but it illustrates points, and that's what it's really good for, and that's why I use it. So, the analogy is viewing religion like a tool. It's a long, straight olive branch. On one end, you've got the traditional olive branch symbolizing peace, with the green leaves and so on and so forth. On the other end of the straight part of the stick, you have a spearhead, or some other various dangerous-looking object. And it takes many people to wield this tool because it's extremely heavy. Okay, and the more people who support or believe, the lighter the tool gets, thus making it easy to wield. Whether it was built by humans or given to us by a divine God to wield as we see fit is a moot point, because it is both indestructible and evolving to change the times to allow its use. History has shown that it is very effective. It's a very effective tool to accomplish anything you want. And history shows this. You use the leafy end to advocate peace, justice, unity, friendship, love, goodwill toward all men, and everything that someone would consider good in this world. And you use the pointy bit to justify bigotry, racism, rape, murder, genocide, infanticide, and pretty much everything that can be considered evil in the world that can be done in God's name, so on and so forth. The problem is, the manual for the tool makes using one end just as legitimate or right as using the other end, depending on your circumstances and or interpretation of the directions, or the directions being the Bible, if you didn't know that one. The problem I've run across as an atheist and an activist who is actively trying to point out the fundamental flaws in religion itself is what to do with the tool. It is indestructible, and it is constantly evolving. Do we allow the tool to be wielded in the hope that history will not repeat itself, as it has countless times, and the tool will be only used for good because everybody interprets it the same way? History has shown that this is completely ridiculous. Or do we attempt to destroy it, which will most likely cause it to be wielded with a vengeful wrath for attempting the impossible? And it has been done in the past when one religion tries to wipe out another one. It happens. It's happening right now. It's been happening since the beginning of religion. So neither of these options, for obvious reasons, is viable. The only option that I can see, or that I've come to, perhaps there are other options, but the only option that I've come to is to get people to put the weapon down. Just put it down. That's all you have to do. And I, like many other atheists, as far as I can tell, and this is just my interpretation, this is just an analogy, point out the fundamental flaws of using the tool, removing its support that allows it to be wielded easily, represented by Jack and Jane Doe believer, thus rendering it unwieldable by even the fundamentalist. Then, after this is accomplished, and after it is incredibly hard to wield, then when no one else can wield it, you place it under guard, lock, and key in its own museum exhibit in maybe the Natural History Museum, so that everybody can learn and appreciate the beauty and be horrified by the evil wrought by the use of this tool over the centuries. I just thought it was an interesting idea. Wanted to put it out there. Peace.